Oseo Tohijin Nagata, hello, how are you all doing? In this last video, we're going to talk about conflict. Now, conflict is important to your digital story because it creates tension, it engages your reader, and it gives your character a goal. A story without conflict is frankly just boring, right? So we really need conflict. If we remember from the literary web for creators, conflict is, we can think of conflict in one of four ways. Maybe it's our character struggling against nature. It could be our character struggling against another person, usually, depicted as the antagonist. It could be that our character is struggling against a society that doesn't understand them or that is oppressing them, holding them down. Or lastly, it might be that this character is struggling with their own self, right? Trying to figure out how to deal with the conflict within them. So, four very specific ways we can think about crafting conflict for our characters. And you can see from the footage behind me in this video game, right, the type of conflict that goes on in this video game. And just another reminder that, like any of these, the setting, the characters, the conflict, any of these, you can be inspired by your favorite movie or video game or whatever, the fan fiction approach, right? So the conflict can just as easily be inspired by your favorite stories. In this conflict exercise, I want you to post a short description of one specific event. This is an important event, either fictional or non-fictional, right, that happens in the world that you're crafting here. And after you've named this event and given us a little description of the event, I want you to think about the importance of this event to your character. Does this event change the balance in your character's life? Does it provide your character with an opportunity to change or grow? If a character is the same at the beginning of your story as the end of your story, then a lot of times that character will be described as a static character because that character did not change or grow any. But if your character changes over the course of your story, maybe your character learns something and becomes wiser because of it, right? Or becomes stronger or learns to be more vulnerable, right? It really is up to you how that character can change or grow. But if your character does change or grow over the course of the story, then that is a more dynamic character. And dynamic characters are seen as more literary and more interesting because we can see a character growing because of an event, because of what they have to go through. And so I want you to think about how this one specific event causes conflict within your character and how that character might resolve that conflict, and put that in your discussion board. And just like we always try to do, make sure and encourage your fellow creators in the discussion board. But this will be our last video because I think at this point, I think you've done enough crafting of your story that we can move on to the textual plan for your story, otherwise known as the script. And so, again, this is just one fan fiction approach to the creative process, right? Focusing on invention from a favorite story, and then, setting and characterization and conflict, what I believe are the most important literary features that you just can't do without. But as you all know, that there are other literary terms in the literary web for creators, and there are thousands of other literary terms out there, ways that we can think about our stories. So this is just one creative process, and I hope it inspires you, and I hope that it helps you create. But I also want you to realize that this is just one way of thinking about crafting and creating your story. But after we create this conflict and post about it, you should hopefully be ready to start working on your textual plan or script for your digital story.